Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the four-card fights for UFC 264 Poirier versus McGregor 3. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight that I'll be predicting, our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the middleweight division, Amedovski versus Yao Zhang Hu. And how I see this one right here is I would really lean to Amedovski, but after seeing Nick Morano come out there and do what he did to Alexa Kimura, or at least win. It's not like he did anything all that great. He just could take a better shot. But really looking at that fight and looking at some other fights of these guys that are in the UFC young, and they're getting a decent chance at making it to the or sticking around in the UFC, and they're taking some time off, whether it be from suspension or whatnot, and they're working upon themselves and trying to improve. And I feel like with Yan Zhang Hu, like I said, this is a lot of speculation with this prediction. And even on the Amedovski side, it would be a lot of speculation. This is just a fight that you probably can lean either way or the other way. And really probably in this instance, you probably lean more to the underdog because neither of these guys are truly reliable. Yao Zhang Hu just has not shown much. He's only 3-2. And he's like 26. And when he last fought, he's like 23, so a young guy. And could definitely come into his own, hit puberty and grow and work on some things mentally and physically. So that's probably why I'm leaning. I'm leaning to Yao Zhang Hu. When I look at Amedovski, I see like a guy like 31, 32, who really just fights like sloppy, like the swings big shots, doesn't mind his defense and just act like he's a bulldozer and really ignores technique. And I feel like with Yao Zhang Hu training out of Tiger Muay Thai, if he working on his Muay Thai, working on his clinches, and just be any bit tactical to stick a jab in his face, you beat a guy like that 9 times out of 10. So even you just work on the basic fundamentals, he should be Amedovski. And Amedovski's grappling is nothing really to write home about. I know Hu has an issue there, but I've seen some tape of him working on that, so I feel like that'll be stronger coming into this fight. And Amedovski really going to try to swing big shots anyway. He's not going to go out there with a grappling approach. You would think that'd be the smart thing to do, but I don't think he's that smart. Or I don't think that's not what he's going to do. So I feel like Who's going to use his reach. He coming down from heavyweight, hasn't fought in a while, so he's been working on his physique, working on his conditioning, working on his health and stuff. So I'm expecting the guy coming in here trying to, fight for a UFC contract and trying to show that he's made some significant improvements. Be just a tactical enough to beat a guy like Amedovski who just swings sloppy shots. Use that reach, stick him, and then really start to wear him down and stop him late. Start putting him in the clinch, put in size on him, start slamming knees into his body, elbows, and then be able to put Amedovski away in the third round. So in this one, I got Yao Zhang Hu via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, Zhumagulov versus Jerome Rivera. And how I see this one right here is I think Rivera's a decent fighter. He's long, he's lanky, he knows how to use it to a good amount. I don't know what I just said. To a good amount, to a good bit. He's decent, but pretty fragile physically, his body and his chin. Like his body can break and bend like rubber and snap. And his chin is just made of putty or glass. I feel like Zhumagulov is just a more experienced, more technical fighter. Even though like their fights aren't that far apart, Zhumagulov's been fighting legit world champions, not just regional world champions, but like legit world champions, beasts, guys that come to UFC and doing well, guys that have been in UFC doing well, guys that been and out, fought at the highest level. Whereas Jerome Rivera has not really fought people that have truly been at the highest level. And I feel like that experience is going to help pay dividends for Zalgas in this one. I feel like it's going to be to pressure Rivera, tag him, control him on the ground if he wants to. Like really wherever he wants. It's going to become the theme of this fight is pretty much going to be the pressure of Zhumagulov and landing heavy shots against Rivera, who's very fragile, not going to be able to take this damage. I think eventually this the pace and the pressure of Zhumagulov going to be to crack Rivera. Be to break Rivera, whether physically, mentally, or both. And I think he's able to get a third round stoppage. So in this one, I got Zhumagulov via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Omari Akhmedov versus Brad Tavares. And how I see this one right here between these two is I feel like I leaned a little bit on this one from Akhmedov to Tavares, but I think Tavares can take it. I don't feel like Akhmedov has the greatest striking. It's just another one of these lean your head down and swing type fighters and then dive for takedown to try to scoop people up and slam them down and beat on them like Donkey Kong. That's what he is. That's the reality. That's who he is. So not the cleanest technical fighter offensively or defensively, but has some decent wrestling. And when I look at wrestling, he hasn't really out-wrestled too many people. He hasn't had the greatest success wrestling anyone all that decent. Like he beat his last fight, the guy historically doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. He looked decent against Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman's a beast, but Chris Weidman's coming off some losses. But I do rate his wrestling pretty highly. But I feel like Tavares' takedown defense is also pretty underrated. And at one point, it was overrated because he had the highest takedown defense in middleweight history. Even now, it was still like at 79 or 82, so still pretty high takedown defense ratio. And if he did not fight Romero, you take Romero's record, he probably still had the highest takedown um, defense in not say middleweight history, UFC middleweight history. He will still have it because Romero took him down like 7 times. Romero, whatever reason, I guess he had something to prove and went out there with just hitting with all types of high level trips and throws. So, but that's Romero. Like you can't really. I would take you could put him as an X factor. Romero was a Cuban beast created in the lab somewhere, so that's like he get a pass on that. I feel against Akhmedov. Akhmedov was definitely not a wrestler level of Romero, especially not Romero when he was even a little bit younger. I mean, even now. But I basically just feel like Tavares is gonna be address the wrestling. I feel like Akhmedov will make it a sloppy fight where it's not like a case where Tavares just completely shutting down takedowns and picking them apart from the middle, from distance. It's gonna be a case where Akhmedov's gonna make this a smothering type fight, and Brad Tavares gonna have to find his spaces, land shots. Akhmedov's gonna keep diving, maybe score a takedown here and there, get some control time. Tavares gonna work back, might give up a round where he ends it on bottom. But like, it's gonna be one of these real close fights I see. Like Akhmedov trying to be underneath Tavares at all points and trying to load up and throw big shots. Might land a big shot. Like I just see it as a very, very close fight that's gonna like end up being it could go either way on the judges. But Tavares, I feel, is gonna be landing more significant strikes, whereas Akhmedov is just gonna be holding for the most part. Outside of maybe one or two big shots he lands or gets close to landing, or judges think he lands and fans be like, oh, but actually miss and hit shoulder or something. I think for the most part, his most output is gonna be hitting air and hugging legs. And I think Tavares is going to be landing cleaner shots. I think the judges overall, at least 2 of 3, are going to see that Tavares had landed cleaner shots and actually controlled the fight, even though he was the one mostly trying to deal with the wrestling. And for the most part, in actuality, he's also going to have like a 70% takedown defense in this fight. And the judges that actually know what they're talking about going to see it. And it's going to lean the decision to Tavares in a very close fight. So in this one, I got Brad Tavares via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Jennifer Maia versus Jessica Eye. And how I see this one right here is, I feel like Jessica Eye does have some questionable takedown defense and questionable wrestling defense, even though she trains it so hard. But I do feel like she's a faster, more fluid striker. But I feel like Jennifer Maia is the more methodical, flat-footed, but heavier-handed striker. But I feel like what's going to come down to is going to come down to the grappling. I feel like it's going to be it's going to be a tough fight, purely because if Maia wanted to make this easy fight, she would just work on her wrestling, work on her takedowns, work on the grappling, work on her entries, throw some shots to get in, tie her up, hold her against the cage, work her against the cage, make her have to try to feel like the fight's losing fight just because she's getting controlled against the cage, then make her make mistakes or put her in the mentality or mindset that she has to do something to win the fight. Because if she's losing against the cage, and then she tries to force action, and you take advantage of that action and secure takedowns off that, or take her back, or do something. You just secure positions off her being overly aggressive or trying to force escapes, and then from there you start to get taken down. Or you just work against the cage, pepper up, level change, go back on top, and you just hug, just use your grappling advantage against her. And then once you get her to the ground, that's pretty easy from that point. Like you have a huge advantage on the ground. And then from that point, you start putting rounds in the tank. Putting rounds in the bank, putting rounds in the books, and then from there, you start to that's a smart game plan. But I feel like Jennifer Maia is going to choose to strike, and really looking at her record and looking at her stats as far as UFC, she doesn't mix in takedowns all that often. And so, like I said, I feel like that would be the smarter route for her. But I feel like it's going to be a close fight because she's not going to do that. She's not going to initiate the grappling as much as she should, or chain it together as well as she should. But I do feel she's definitely going to get a round where she's going to get a lot of control time. And then the other 2 rounds are going to be relatively close. But I feel like with Jennifer Maia's pressure and the heavier shots, she's going to be able to win another one of these rounds, probably the 3rd round. And I see her getting a decision victory over Jessica Eye. So in this one, I have Jennifer Maia via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Ryan Hall versus Ilia Topuria. And how I see this one right here is Ryan Hall is a solid fighter. I'm not going to write him off or just underwrite him or put him down in the sense where I say he's not this great. I mean, he's not great, but say he's not a good fighter. He's a solid fighter. Great BJJ player, good solid fighter. But I feel like Ilia Topuria just has a style that's all prepared to destroy Ryan Hall. I feel like Ryan Hall, when we look at his record, most guys he's beat have been not the best. Who he won the Ultimate Fighter against? He beat Mini Arms. I'm forgetting the guy's name right now. I don't know how I'm forgetting the GOAT's name, but he beat Conor McGregor's best friend. Oh, Artem Lobov. He beat Artem Lobov. Solid, he's a fighter, but as far as a credible fighter, as far as like, oh, this I really beat a solid dude, not really. Maybe you train with him in the gym, you're like, oh, this guy's a solid fighter. Your fighters know this guy's a solid fighter, but as far as actually trying to go anywhere, you can't really buy your way anywhere by saying I beat Artem Lobov, except into the GOAT history books. But other than that, he beat Ryan Hall. He beat a 90-year-old BJ Penn who gets knocked out by people with fat dudes in bar fights. He beat a Gray Maynard who could get knocked out by a drop of water. So, like, who you been beating? And he beat Darren Elkins, who he did have a grappling advantage over. And Darren Elkins on the feet is a literal walking punching bag, and it's even his name. He's the damage. He'll take a lot of damage. So the wins he has aren't the most impressive. You can say Ilia Topuria doesn't have the most impressive wins either, but stylistically wise, Topuria is incredibly strong, has a solid grappling background, very good base. And I could see some parallels to Saul Rogers, who went out there and embarrassed Hall, to be honest. They might say it was a close fight, but he was neutralized all the Hall's grappling, dropped him on the feet. So, in my opinion, he dominated him. He just embarrassed Hall in that one. Or made Hall look very limited. And I feel like Ilia Topuria could do the same in even worse degree. And just throwing spinning kicks and falling on your butt's not going to win you a fight, especially a guy knows how to defend it, has solid base, be able to lock the legs and drop elbows and bombs on you and then stand right back up and just make you all your stuff look bad. And also the whole turning your back and rolling and throwing a kick, turning your back and then falling face down and rolling, going to get you hit with a hook. Get you dug to the body. And I get Ilia Topuria gonna take advantage of all these sloppy things that Hall does. You can say, oh, this guy's a good fighter, but that's just sloppy. I mean, it's a good strategy to throw kicks when people don't want to go to the ground with you, but just to be running and this throwing kicks out and then falling on your butt, that's not good. That's not a great fight IQ. That's stupid. That's sloppy. You need to work on that. And I hope he did work on it. But if he comes in with that, even if he does improve on it, I think Topuria comes out there, stops him. I think Topuria can neutralize his submissions, like savvy enough there, credible enough there to neutralize submissions, attack him from there, and mostly avoid it. For the most part, just avoid the ground. Then when he start to hurt him and have Hall even more like erratic on the feet and buzzed on the feet, and then start taking to the ground and start taking it to Hall, busting him up. And then I feel like in the second round, you're gonna have a bust up Hall, a demoralized Hall. In the second round, I think Ilia Topuria just takes it to him, drops him, and finishes him off in that second round. So in this one, I have Ilia Topuria via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Dricus du Plessis, I already messed up his name again, but it is what it is at this point. Dricus du Plessis or Places. I gotta Google. I mean, not Google. I gotta go back to the YouTube comment section and see what the guy said. But I'll get it right. Probably his next fight. But right now I'm messing up again, butchering this dude's name. Sorry about that. Versus Trevin Giles. So how I see this one right here is I think Trevin Giles is a solid fighter. I think Dricus du Plessis is a solid fighter. But with Trevin Giles, I feel like he could be winning the fight early, but he does have the habit of dropping his hands. He does have questionable cardio. He does fade late. He does fade as the fight goes. And I feel like Dricus du Plessis is going to be able to pressure him, maintain that pace, suffocate him with his pressure, and cause those same flaws to come back out in Giles. And I think we're going to start walking him down, catch him over the top as his hands start to drop, catch him down the pipe as his hands start to drop, slam kicks into his body, take out more of that gas tank, and just really mix it up and press him back. Like I said, suck the life out of him with the pressure, and then be able to take advantage of those flaws, showing himself with fatigue, and put him out in the third round. So in this one, I have Dricus du Plessis via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Nico Price versus Michel Pereira. And how I see this one right here is I think, well, let me be honest. Nico Price he's a decent fighter, but technically wise, you're never gonna be super impressed with him. He's a fighter's fighter. Chin could be a little bit suspect. Striking is always awkward. And I just straight up just think Michel Pereira is just a more technical fighter. Nico Price has a puncher's chance, but Outside of that, not much else. I don't think he has such a great grappling chance. I feel like Pereira's the more technical grappler, more technical striker, more technical fighter. When he's on point, better fight IQ. He definitely has the experience. He had like more than twice as many fights as Nico Price. I feel like he's faster, more athletic, more explosive. And I just feel like in every avenue he beats Nico Price. Outside of being, well, matter of fact, he way more awkward than Nico Price when he wants to be running off cages, doing backflips, dancing. Just gotta be locked in like he has been in these past 2 or 3 fights. Like he's been locked in. When he's locked in, he's gonna beat a lot of people up until he gets into the true top 10, top 15. And then that's where you're really gonna see him tested. But are you see maybe some of these upcoming prospects who are real talented and are going to be top 15, top 10, and even maybe title contenders. But as far as this is people that the mainstays who have been around, I think he beats just about all of them outside the top 15. And Nico Price is no different. I feel like in this fight, Nico Price gonna be, he's gonna make it a fight as always. But I feel like technique will prevail against Nico Price. Pereira's shots will be shorter, faster, sharper. I feel like he'll drop Price a couple times in this fight. Maybe like once in the first, once in the third, but I don't think he'll get the stoppage over Price. And I think that's the drops and the shots that really hurt and make Price react to them are what's going to lean the fight to Pereira. I feel like Price is going to put a volume. He's going to be active. Not the cleanest technique or cleanest output, but he'll be active. He'll make it a fight like he always does. But again, cleaner technique and flusher shots, and also Price reactions to these shots, whether it be getting dropped or bending over or reacting, wincing, stepping back, is going to lean the fight to Pereira. I think Pereira also will land probably about 5-10 strikes, significant strikes. I don't think he stops him, but I do think it's a decision victory. So in this one, I have Michel Pereira via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Max Griffin versus Carlos Condit. And how I see this fight right here is I think Carlos Condit has certainly put some good wins together. Like Court McGee and Matt Brown have looked great in their last fights. At first, he was just beating the senior league fighters. Like he was fighting in the UFC, but in the senior league. These guys that, they're done for the most part. They're not in contention to ever fight for a title. Court McGee, definitely not. Matt Brown, definitely not. Carlos Condit, definitely not. But, I mean, MMA is a wild thing and stuff could change, especially how good they both Court McGee and Matt Brown looked in their last fight. And the fact that Carlos Condit beat both of them, that just shows like he still has something in the tank. And if this was a younger Carlos Condit, he would definitely beat Max Griffin. It wouldn't even be a question. It'd be a minus 1,000 favorite or something. Minus 1,100 favorite before Max Griffin, any Max Griffin. But I still got to look at the age. I also got to look at how he fought those fights. He fought those fights very measured and very slow pace, very methodical. I mean, you had to fight how you had to fight when you start getting up there in age. But I feel like that's going to play against him against Max Griffin. You got a fighter who's only 1 year younger, but he fights a lot younger, has a lot less mileage, and definitely has not fought the level of competition and not been in as many wars as Carlos Condit. But you got to worry about Max Griffin as well. He's a slow start. So this is a fight that's, a very much a pick 'em, just giving off where both men are and both men's styles. But I feel like Max Griffin wants it more and has shown it in fights, and he's on a good streak. And on this streak, I think when he's been getting stoppages on the streak, he definitely got one explosive stoppage in his very last fight over Keenan Song. But yeah, I just definitely think it comes down to him wanting it more and not having as much mileage on his tank. And I feel like that slow measured pace is going to allow Max Griffin to outwork and outdog Carlos Condit, maybe score a takedown or two. Not going to have the best control over it, but in MMA, takedowns still count for something. So in a very close fight, with a guy being a little bit more active, icing it with a takedown, whether it's control, whether it's for a half a second, it adds into leaning it to him. And I think Max Griffin is going to win basically by outworking and outdogging Carlos Condit in a very close fight and getting a close decision, probably be like a split decision, but I'm leaning to Max Griffin. So in this one, I have Max Griffin via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, our first fight. I'm messing all up, but I ain't getting in this. It is what it is. So in our first fight on the main card, we have in the bantamweight division, Sean O'Malley versus Chris Moutinho. And this is flat out a wash for real. Somebody can say, oh, Moutinho this, Moutinho that, to try to sway people and try to pick Moutinho, but Moutinho is much smaller as far as vertically and even horizontally. This man is smaller. It's not like O'Malley's a much bigger bantamweight. That's all I'm trying to say. Bigger, faster, more technical. He has a lot of striking flaws. Drop those hands a lot. Open forward. The kitchen sink for real. and don't got the best chin. Grappling, as far as what he shown, is nothing to write home about. So if his past is try to test O'Malley's grappling by to put him down, he hasn't shown to take down offense or the tenacity or any bit of anything or not a single thing that's going to cause O'Malley issue or at all. And he had to come through the length of Sean O'Malley and the speed of O'Malley. And even he did try to just run in there and go for a takedown. He probably get hit with a flying knee, probably get hit with a teep to the face or a front kick to the face, a jab, spinning back kick. He go just running to right, the whole kitchen sink. He'll get hit in the kitchen sink going backwards, get hit in the kitchen sink going forward, going hit with the kitchen sink going laterally. He just, matter of fact, I don't even make a move laterally like that anyway. So really back and forth fighters, like a up and down back and forth fighter, basic, nothing really to write home about. And Sean O'Malley just gonna pick him apart, run right through him, style on him. Dude probably not even gonna be able to make it through the end of the combo, and just gonna go to sleep before the combo even ends. So in this one, I got Sean O'Malley via first round TKO. Now on to our next fight, we have in the women's bantamweight division, Irene Aldana versus Yana Kunitskaya, or Yana Kunitskaya. But how I see this one right here is, first off, I thought Kunitskaya's offensive wrestling a little bit better. She is kind of a smothering type fighter. She's not going to wow you with technique or wow you with anything really, but she does got a great heart, great tenacity. She will smother you, try to hug you against the cage, and just make the fight cage very small and smother you. And I feel like that couldn't be an issue and has been an issue for Irene Aldana. My thing with Kunitskaya is that she doesn't mix in the takedowns that much. And I think with the most takedowns she had in the fight was like 2, and she's not that consistent. And even her last fight, she was the one spend the most time on bottom. I think she spent like 10 minutes of a 15-minute fight on bottom in her last fight, or 9 minutes and like 30 seconds of a 15-minute fight on her on bottom. So if I was going to lean to her, but I would have leaned to her if it was a case of in more of these fights she was more tenacious with the takedowns and had more control time and more work there. Like I said, I feel like that's a weaker area of Irene Aldana, and I feel like she's going to have improved and work on a lot of things after getting schooled by Holly Holm, and also for the fact that Kunitskaya hasn't been, all that consistent or all that great at, really dragging women to the ground and working on them as far as in the UFC. I feel like that edge that I feel like she had on Irene Aldana is not as strong. And I feel like on the feet, Irene Aldana has a greater striking advantage. She's faster, more fluid, sharper with a strike, much cleaner boxing, much cleaner footwork. And I feel like that's what's going to win it for her. I feel like she's going to be the outbox Kunitskaya, work out of the clinch when Kunitskaya try to hold her against the cage and just win based off what she does when she's in the middle of the cage, and be the outstrike out boxer, circle off, get off the cage, and continue to outbox her and beat her to a close decision, but being the more active fighter and being the fighter landing more active damage and landing more significant strikes. Whereas Kunitskaya is going to have some control time against the cage control time, and maybe a little bit of success at striking, but Irene Aldana is going to have much more success and be the much more active fighter, and that's going to edge the decision for her. So in this fight, I have Irene Aldana via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. And I'm with this one, Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. I think I'm with Greg Hardy. I'm just saying the names a bunch of times, but I think with Greg Hardy, like, he showed his heart in that last fight, or showed his lack of heart. That's better what I'm more so trying to say. He showed his lack of heart against Tybura. He could strike up until as soon as he get on the ground, quit, tap out. Well, he didn't really tap out. He just curled up and said, "Yeah, I'm out. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this grappling stuff. If I stuff your takedowns, keep on the feet, I'm cool with that." But yeah, so as soon as he went to the ground, quit. So I feel like Tai Tuivasa can potentially get him to the ground, but I don't think he don't even need to. And even outside that, he has shown questionable cardio. So really outside that first round, outside that first round, and like later going probably into the second minute of the second round, that cardio starts to exit the door and be like, where is it at? Needs an inhaler, and that's illegal. But what I feel like Tai Tuivasa is going to do in this one, I feel like through the first round it's going to be pretty close competitive, but Tuivasa is going to be cleaner. He's a cleaner boxer. Greg Hardy probably going to try mixing some leg kicks, knowing he's fighting a guy that's a boxer. Might even try to mix in wrestling or stuff because Tuivasa had issues there. But Tuivasa went to AKA or for a period of time and worked on that. I don't know if to enough of a degree, but I think definitely enough to deal with Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy tries to do anything different. And probably I feel like he can out-wrestle Greg Hardy in this one. But a lot of speculations between two guys that have not shown really any wrestling. But what I really think it comes down to cut and dry is that Tuivasa is the real truer fighter, and he's going to be able to fight through 3 rounds. He's not a quitter, whereas Hardy is. And I feel like that's going to be more prevalent. And Tai Tuivasa is going to be able to keep it close through the first, whether he's winning or losing. Greg Hardy has to be Greg Hardy's best round. But second round, Tuivasa, I feel like he's definitely going to take it. Then the third round, we're going to have a tired Greg Hardy. And Tuivasa's going to pressure. He's going to work inside, land body shots. He's going to make him feel every bit of that fatigue, every bit of it, all the way he's carrying. Be it hit him low to the body, make him drop his hands, come up top, buzz him. Greg Hardy's going to probably go in fetal position because he's not going to want to get hit anymore. And then Tuivasa's going to take advantage of it, just load up on shots until the ref pulls him off. So in this one, I got Tai Tuivasa via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the welterweight division, Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And how I see this one right here. So overall, Gilbert Burns is the better fighter. We're talking about overall. I'm not saying he is the better fighter, but as far as look at the full skill set, he's more well-rounded fighter. That's what I'm saying. Not overall, but well-roundedly, he's the more well-rounded fighter. He has BJJ, he has wrestling, and he has some striking. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's striking acumen and skills are definitely in a whole different tier to Gilbert Burns. When you bring it all together, Gilbert Burns definitely closes that gap. So wrestling could definitely be a threat. Give him the ground could definitely be a threat against Stephen Thompson. And so Thompson definitely wants to keep this on the feet at all times. But all that being said, I'm leaning to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in this one. I feel like Gilbert Burns got broken against Kamaru Usman. And he showed the green behind his ears, or the whatever word you want to call it. He just showed inexperience, and he showed lack of composure against Usman. Like, even with what he was doing, headhunting, he probably could have got a stoppage on Usman in that fight, to be honest. But got too emotional in that fight, and just started telegraphing it. He started already had Usman hurt and touching the ground, and then started touching him. Like, it's not about trying to just load up on it. Just start touching him, just keep touching him. And it's not like Usman was necessarily defending the same stuff he was getting caught with. Like, he was still open for the same exact shots. But we just loaded up for him. A guy could see it and be able to avoid it or address it. And it's like, even at times he got away from throwing those same shots. But the thing with it, not to try to get away from the shot, but start to pepper up and set up that shot. Because at first he didn't need no setup, but to get the finish, just keep touching him, keep stay in his face. He already hurt. And this by keep touching him, you keep him in that rock zone. Keep that chin soft and supple. Don't let it get hardened back up. And then you set up the other shots. And also keeps him disoriented. And then you find that big shot, and then you would get that finish. But again, showed inexperience. Showed lack of control of his emotions, and wasn't able to get the finish. And then he got finished and started getting dropped by anything. We got dropped by like a jab at one point. And he started getting broken in that fight. And I feel like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he's always training his wrestling, so his defense is on point. Probably one of the better takedown defenses in that weight class and in the sport, really. Good footwork. I feel like Gilbert Burns' X factor really will be the kick, because you can take away the legs of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You got a fighter who's had his hands down and is right in front of you. Or you could kick him out, his legs out, and then you don't need a takedown. He's on the ground. And I feel like smart Gilbert Burns does have some good leg kicks. Like I said, that could definitely factor into the fight very heavily. But what I see in this fight, I see Gilbert Burns looking for these big shots, but Stephen Wonderboy Thompson not being there. I see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson being able to address, like I said, stuff the takedowns. I do see Gilbert Burns going to attack him with leg kicks, but I said that in other fights that leg kicks were the path, but only the person who I seem to have had a significant successful leg kicks was was Woodley. And Woodley only threw like 3 kicks. But everybody else, like, he fought Luque. Luque's kick didn't do anything. He fought Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal landed all his kicks, didn't do anything. Stuff like Steve Wonderboy Thompson's definitely been training to defend or, take up his endurance to leg kicks. So in a 3-round fight where he fought 2 5-round fights, at least one 5-round fight against Jeff Neal, and took a lot of leg kicks. I really see, to the point on this one, I feel like the leg kicks will have some effect, but Wonderboy will already be privy to it, and especially seeing Gilbert Burns study him and going to see that his leg kicks are a thing, and we'll be aware of it, and we'll be able to address it, we'll be able to deal with it. And as far as wrestling and takedown, I feel like Wonderboy will be able to stuff just about all the takedowns, and if he does get taken down, we'll be able to pop right back up. Then on feet, I just think he frustrates Gilbert Burns. I think he uses his length, uses his speed, uses his striking experience, uses skills, uses his footwork, uses angles, and it's really frustrates Burns. I've seen Burns frustrated in several fights where he's not able to get the takedown, and he's forced to strike with better strikers, and he just freezes up. Hopefully he has gotten better since then, but I see a case of deja vu again, and where he's frustrated not being able to find success with his grappling or getting it to the ground, and Wonderboy just being too much, putting volume in his face, hit him with blitzes, and then when he could see again, Wonderboy being nowhere to be found, and then getting hit with spinning back kicks and just trying to reach and find these shots, but not being able to land these punches, not being able to score these takedowns. And I see Wonderboy just beating him to a frustrating decision. So in this one, I have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the lightweight division, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3. So I see the one right here is really with this one, I feel like McGregor won the first fight. I mean, it's not I feel he did win the first fight. Poirier won the second fight, and I feel like Poirier's going to win the third fight. I feel like McGregor going into the first fight, he had a lot of advantages. He had a lot of momentum. He was young. He was hungry. He's still young. Still got some hunger, but he's not as young. He's not as hungry. He's doesn't have the momentum. Matter of fact, this time Poirier has all the momentum. And even the second fight, he didn't have momentum. So now in the third fight, he has even less momentum. He got knocked out by Poirier in the last fight. So Poirier has the wins. He has the current win streak, one win streak. He's coming off in the trilogy. He's coming off a win. He knocked out, so he had the win. He knocked you out. He's been more active. And when he fought at featherweight, Poirier did have a glass chin at featherweight until when he came to 155. He put on some more weight. Chin got a little bit more sturdy, and he got better defensively, got better mentally, and he's can sail through these storms better now. And he has been in plenty of these fights with Max Holloway, Dan Hooker, the Eddie Alvarez fight. So he's been in these fights where he has had to dig deep and find his way through the storm. And his chin has held up pretty solidly in all these fights. So it's not a case of where he was that chinny fighter that Conor McGregor could just find a button, it's over. Like, you got to find that button. You got to consistently find the button. I mean, it's always a chance for a one-punch knockout or an early knockout. But it's not as easy to bet on anymore because, like I said, Poirier has been able to take shots, take knees, be able to weather through, and follow through. So the Poirier, he's not the Poirier you fought all the years ago. He's a Poirier that's a millionaire himself, on a win streak, beat you, knocked you out. And it's not a case that he's this poor farm boy from Louisiana. Well, he's not a farm boy, but this poor country boy from Louisiana. He's a world class, and also he won a belt. He won the interim belt. So he might not be an official champion or undisputed champion, but he is a former UFC champion. So this guy has improved a lot. And I feel like McGregor kind of trying to focus on the little bit of success he did have in the second fight. Oh, I was outboxing you and he had you did the rights. But at no point was Poirier worried or hurt. Matter of fact, I feel like Poirier controlled most of that first round. He struck one pretty well, scored a takedown, got control in that fight. Then the second round, continued to work on the leg and then knocked him out. So he was never out of the driver's seat. Even if he, to some people and even to the judges, he lost the first round. He was already winning the fight. He was already dealing damage to that leg. So I feel like Conor McGregor definitely come in here, work on that. But it's more than just defending the leg. You're just working on one thing, then the other guy has already moved on to the next stages. He's going to work on other flaws in you. He's been studying you. And it's going to be fun studying. He's about to make a lot of money. And he's about to get to fight a guy who at one point beat him. Now he beat him again, made a lot of money off him. And now coming for another big payday. So this is all fun for him. He's making a lot of money. He's getting to beat you, a chance to beat you again. So he's watching that film, studying. And even when you look at that fight, the fight played out similarly, but Poirier, matter of fact, almost identically to the first fight, but Poirier had better answers and was better adjusted. It was able to counter the stuff that McGregor had success with in the first fight. So again, he's coming with more study, more tape, and McGregor's not going to become a new fighter in this one. I just feel like Poirier has all the advantages coming in this one. McGregor has the chance to, knock him out maybe in the first 2 rounds. But if you're banking on the first 2 rounds, it's a hard bet. And then Poirier, we know, can push hard for 5 rounds. And actually, once he weathers the storm, he has outworked every single opponent that has not been able to put him out. Or, I mean, yeah, literally every opponent that has not been able to put him out in all these close fights with Hooker. Hooker looked good early, but Poirier was able to just run away with it late. Alvarez be able to put him away once he had him hurt. Justin Gaethje had some bit of success with the leg kicks, but then was able to put Gaethje away. So, like, he can push late, and I can't really lean to McGregor, especially coming off this loss and everything factored in, to be able to get that stoppage early, especially given who Poirier is now and who McGregor is now, be able to get that stoppage early. And also, I definitely can't see him winning the decision unless the judges just rig it for him. Like, oh, he made it the decision, let's give it to him. Because I see Poirier just outworking, outdogging, and be able to push harder, even harder in those later rounds, where McGregor is going to fade in those later rounds. I think it's a case where McGregor might look good early. He's going to be at a dress kick early, and his fans probably going to cheer for him like, oh my God, he looks so much better. But once the fight starts getting tough and Poirier's not out of there in the first 2 rounds, and McGregor starts all that power he's putting behind the shots and all the success he have, and it's not putting Poirier still in front of him, he's going to be demoralized. He's going to be fatigued as always, and Poirier's not going to stop, keep pressing him, keep tagging him, and then take advantage of a fatigued McGregor. Probably mix a takedown just to take some more out of his gas tank, put him on bottom, land some body shots, land some elbows, bust him up. And then in that 4th round, just have a fatigued, tired McGregor don't have the same pop in his punches, just walk him down and put him out. But McGregor probably going to pull guard or something because he don't want to get it he don't like getting knocked out. That goes against his brand. That goes against his, that takes away from his brand. That takes away from his value because he wants to be, I'm the best striker in MMA. So he probably going to just turtle up or try to get tapped out, but Poirier is going to go for the TKO. Matter of fact, Poirier might respect him and go for submission. I'm going to say 4th round TKO. Either way, a late stoppage in the later rounds when McGregor isn't able to get that early stoppage. So in this one, I have Dustin Poirier via 4th round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the 4 card of fights for UFC 264, Poirier versus McGregor 3. And as always, thanks for watching.